Welcome back to Mount Bullshit, our amazing podcast. Um, I'm your host again, because we're going in reverse order, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just forcing my way into it. You'll never know. Anyways, so as I said last episode, we're going to be going over the rest of villains that we didn't get to because the recording had cut off. But first, we're gonna catch up because it's been what 3 weeks since we last recorded.
Been enough time to watch a lot of programming.
Yeah, and and I was in a
Episode
purgatory.
was I'm not sure when it was recorded, but it was uploaded on unlisted as of now on
Yeah.
October 28th.
Yeah. I was also in purgatory for
So
the
we're
last
running out of
week or
time.
so. So
Oh damn it! Episode 4 coming up.
yeah,
What,
that
this
you don't have
Thursday?
to know about what that means. Episode 4 this Thursday. Yeah,
Let's
this
go.
this next Thursday. Yeah.
Get excited.
So yeah, if you
Get
want to do the
excited,
math, you
this
can
episode
figure
that
out
comes
when
out
we
2 weeks after.
when we record. So, anyways, yeah. So who wants to go first on what they've been watching?
I'll go first.
All right.
Okay.
Finally finished Moriarty.
Excellent.
Oh, congrats.
Season 2, that is.
Season 2. I know. I think I've been talking about watching season 2 for the past like 3 or 4 episodes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Finally
actually
finished that.
thinking maybe we should turn that into a bit like we did with Nick. When will he finish Demon Slayer? Because you literally talked about starting season 2 in the first recording. And now we're 2 months later. So,
Yeah.
but you
Okay,
finally
so
finished
I
it.
finally finished it. Not gonna talk about the ending because I know people are watching it. But for anyone that has watched it, it was good. The second season was definitely not as I gave it the same score because I still enjoyed it as much. When it came to quality, it definitely wasn't as good as the first season. Also, it was a little bit weird. It kind of seemed like they were making Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty like gay or something. I don't know.
Maybe they are.
I think it's just the way they're acting, but they seemed a little bit homosexual to me. Not that's a problem. It's another thing that's weird to happen. Also, what else I'm watching? Dune. That just came out like recently. I've watched it 3 times, twice in theaters, once on HBO Max. Amazing movie, amazing book, great book. I'm rereading the book, halfway through it around. How many pages? I'm 345 pages into the book right now. It's
How long
really
is the
good.
book?
Almost 600.
617 pages.
Oh yeah, we did count that earlier.
So yeah, everyone should read this book. If you don't like science fiction, I don't care. Read the book anyway. It's good. It's like Game of Thrones in space, but good. I don't know. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I heard someone say that once.
But
That
good.
I don't know. Game of Thrones. Did you like that? I heard people really loved it, and then like last season happened, and people said they hated the show. But like, if you enjoyed the first 2 seasons, how does the last season make you hate the whole show? I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
It don't matter. Anyway, if I may chime in, Moriarty is in fact gay in the BBC Sherlock show.
He was?
So the actors and everybody, it's not like a plot point, but they say he is.
I watched the show a few times. I remember him being gay.
And now it's
I don't know,
ruined for
it's
you, right,
probably-
Drew?
What?
What?
Oh no.
Now we play and we love gay people.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
No. Come on.
into the
Anyway.
rabbit hole.
I don't remember that, but I kind of believe it based off of stuff. Yeah, I guess I believe that. Yeah. So yeah, Dune, Moriarty. I started Bungo Stray Dogs, which I know everyone else already watched.
Bungo
But-
Stray Dongs? What?
Yeah, Bungo Stray Dogs.
Bungus gay dongs.
It's cool so far. Twilight is probably one of my favorite shows so far.
Oh my
I'm only
god.
like 6 episodes in.
Fungus gay
But I know other
pogs.
people finished that show, so they have more to say about it. So I'm gonna pass it off.
Alright, next person. Dylan, Nick? I have a lot to
I'll
talk
let
about.
I'll go. I'll be quick. I mean, it's just I don't know. There's only I've watched one show in completion. But first I read the second book of the Suzumiya Haruhi series. The fuck, what's the second one called? I finished it like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I've already forgotten it. The Sigh of Suzumiya Haruhi. Just because Drew was reading, so might as well bring that up. It's a fun series. It's apparently the one I finish is the weakest book, in the series, but it's still really good. Um, I can't say too much about it because that'll spoil it, but I enjoy it. But the show I did watch in completion is A Place Further Than the Universe, and I think it's an amazing show. I know nobody, none of you guys have seen it.
I'm definitely going to see it eventually.
Now, like, I know
Sounds
it's like the cute girls cute thing genre, but the name implies like a lot more. Is that like the case or
Yeah, the name's
Yeah,
deep as
it's
fuck.
basically
Yeah.
it's basically if it's literally if you took the phrase like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and made it into
Classic.
a show.
Alright.
It sounds very generic and cringy, but it really is. I think it's
How long
quite
is
I
it?
mean,
deep.
even the cringiest like concepts can
13
be executed
episodes
well. So
long.
13? Maybe I could do that.
It's basically like all the. I mean, the point is there are four main characters, four main girls, other side characters, of course, as well, and their goal is to go to Antarctica, and they all have their own reason for wanting to go
oh,
to
okay,
Antarctica.
that makes
Oh.
sense.
Interesting.
And like that's not a spoiler. That's like said in the first episode. But
Oh,
like
I know.
Antarctica, it's not really like you find this out pretty quickly. Antarctica isn't like, oh my god, we have to go to Antarctica. I love Antarctica. I want to see fucking all the animals. I want to
Penguins and shit.
see the scenery and experience the cold and all that. Antarctica is more of just like a vehicle for them to achieve their goals. The four main characters and all the side characters, they all have their own hopes and dreams and aspirations and insecurities, all that, and they're all sort of united by this one common goal of doing something, so bigger than all of them combined, doing something seemingly, at the moment to them, impossible, and going to Antarctica. And as the main characters are high schoolers as well, making it even more
Cool.
difficult. So it's more so
Is
just
it like
about.
realistic? Because a lot of times anime
Is it
high schooler
realistic?
doesn't mean anything.
I mean,
Anime
is it
high schooler is
realistic?
like
I would
6'5".
say, I mean, they spend a lot of time going over, what the training they have to do to make it. It's not just like, oh, we're going to Antarctica. Here's the tickets. Let's go. They
Hmm.
have to. There's a lot of training they have to do. Um, a lot of preparations. Um, a lot of luck as well, as with anything, something
Hmm.
this big. So it feels very genuine. It's an anime original as well, which is interesting.
That's
And it's
always a
animated.
gamble.
Yeah, it's now funny that two of my favorite shows are anime originals. We'll be watching the other
Oh
one
yeah, Maho
in a little bit.
Madoka Magica. Is that the right order of names for it?
I'm
Sure.
gonna get. I don't know what you said, but
I
probably.
think
Is
it
it?
sounded right.
Okay.
I think you also mispronounced a few of them though.
Isn't it Maho Madoka Magica?
Well,
Maho Shoujo Madoka
Oh,
Magica.
missed
isn't
this
there
show.
Puella somewhere in there?
What?
What?
I'm pretty sure Puella is somewhere in that name.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's how it
Maho
starts.
Shoujo is the Japanese name.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, where the fuck
Because
is
Maho Shoujo is
Oh,
magical
that's the
girl.
Puella Magi Madoka Magica is the English name. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the Place Further in the Universe, or I just want to say, animated by Madhouse.
Oh, nice.
Surprised me.
When did that come out?
I've mentioned that in private a few times, just
Yeah, I
talking
remember
about
you
it
talking
generally.
about it.
Yeah, because I was surprised. I watched the first few episodes, and I was like, the animation for this, it's surprisingly really good, and I found out it's Madhouse, so no wonder. But also
Yeah.
with the show, it's like I did find myself just out of nowhere becoming very emotional at times, just when I really didn't expect to be. I was never breaking down, in tears or anything, crying.
Yeah.
But it was just some of the moments that happened were just so relatable and understandable, and really just struck a chord with me. And it was just it happened a few times during the show. So I'm very grateful that the show exists. It's very, very good. That's all I have to say about it.
I want to quickly interject here because I completely forgot two great shows I need to talk about for a second here. Very
You don't
quick.
really need to talk about them.
We'll save that for another day.
So your
Oh,
turn
yeah.
is over.
I don't know when that day will be, but just forewarning, we are gonna do a bit tier list. All these little shitty jokes you hear, oh, gas, whatever. We're gonna rank them one day. That's a promise.
Are we gonna explain what they are for anybody
Yeah,
confused?
yeah.
That's
We'll
They
explain
are a
each
type
joke.
boss.
We'll explain each joke and then put it up for us to rank. And maybe we'll bring a few guests in so they can lean in on how much they hate how funny they are.
Get interviews from people
I
who
think
have
I
had to
can provide
suffer.
enough heat for these bits, Andrew.
Yeah, well, you are the hater, so.
I am the hater.
All right.
Yeah,
What two shows?
seasonal shows, Blue Period and Komi Can't
Yes.
Communicate. I was just looking at a meme, so I'm putting Discord. Put that on there. Remind me of Komi. Yeah, Blue Period and Komi Can't Communicate. If you know anime, you've probably heard of these shows. They're really popular right now, and they're both really, really good. Blue Period. I've heard from a reputable source, the YouTuber Akazura, that apparently the adaptation isn't as good as it could be, and you should not watch it and just read the manga. I'm not listening to him because I'm really enjoying the show, so I'm just keep watching it, and then I'll read the manga later because manga's expensive. I'm broke.
That's true.
That is true. But yeah, Blue Period, insane, really good. It's like so anime normally, or just shows and stuff in general, other than just excited for what's going on, or like hyped and like, or not hyped, pumped, and excited and all that. I don't really feel all that emotional when I'm watching shows and stuff. For whatever reason, even though I don't relate to any of the characters or anything that's going on, Blue Period made me really emotional. I was watching it, and I was like actually like really, really into what's going. If you know what it's about this like really good student who like gets straight A's and all that stuff, but he kind of like, doesn't do much with his life, doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, discovers that he really likes art and painting and all that. So then he decides to set his goal on being a painter and like finding like what he wants to do with his life and like what he wants to be his thing and have his like own meaning and stuff. And for whatever reason, I just really, really am enjoying it. I mean, I say for whatever reason, but people have said they really liked it. It was good, and I agree. It's really, really good. Great writing, really good animation, really cool. It actually makes. I'm not uninterested in art, but like when it comes to like actual like paintings and stuff, I don't care. It's boring. It made me actually interested in that stuff. So that's cool. And Komi Can't Communicate, funny show comedy about Komi who can't communicate, because she's a mute. And that show.
Is she a mute or just afraid to talk?
It says in like the opening like sequence thing. Actually, I think after the first episode, she has severe social anxiety and
Oh,
can't
okay.
talk to other people. And it's about the main character whose name I'm
Is that?
forgetting, who also
I'm sorry. I might just be ignorant here. Is that what being mute is? I always thought it was something with your voice box, like you literally couldn't talk.
Being mute is something different.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it's easiest to just say that she's a mute.
Yeah, yeah. No,
guess
I
to
understand.
elaborate, yeah, she's not actually a mute. She just has extreme social anxiety, so she doesn't talk to anyone. But she does want to. They make a big point of she does want to. Not that she doesn't want to talk to anyone, it's that she just struggles with it. But with the help of the main character, who looks really dumb, I don't know why they made him look like that. He's got like a weird like flower in his hair that's never mentioned. I think it might just be his hair. Whatever, it looks dumb. She has the goal to just like make a bunch of friends and actually be able to talk to people. And the story is really good. The writing's really good. It's pretty funny. It got me to laugh a few times. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, the animators just really fucking went all in on that shit. Like it is insane. Like I normally am not like super like when I'm watching a show of good animation, maybe like one like good animation. Very few times. The only times I can remember for us are Fate, Limited Blade Works, and Jujutsu Kaizen, where I was watching like, whoa, wait, this is like really good animation.
All right.
And then it passed.
Real quick, Drew, just want to stop you so we can get our daily digs in at Demon Slayer. That does have good animation too.
Demon Slayer had good animation, but since literally one of the only things I knew about it going in was that it has really good animation, I was almost a little let down by how often it didn't have really good animation. Sometimes did, but that's a completely different point. But like all those shows I've noticed like for a bit, like wow, really good animation, and then I would stop. For Komi Can't Communicate, every like 30 seconds, my mind kept being brought back like, wow, this is insanely good animation. And like dates. Like with Demon Slayer and like Jujutsu Kaizen and all those shows, there'll be fine or meh animation, and then go to really good animation, and then back to that fine. Komi was like consistently insanely good animation, and also really good music. Yeah, really good show in general. Definitely gonna binge the manga. I know it's really long, so it's not long. It's got a lot right now that's out, so I'm definitely gonna have a lot of it to be able to read. So I'm definitely gonna be reading that soon. And that is now everything I'm watching.
Okay. I'm gonna bring this up when I end up going. I had some really good transitions that I held off on based on what you were saying on Blue Period. So I'll harp on that in a bit.
Period.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
Alright. I don't got all that much, so I'll keep it pretty brief. I too have started Bungo Stray Dogs. I finished the first season at least, and I can say Dazai he just gets better and better.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Be prepared.
I did buy Dazai's book, the actual book that the character and his power is based off of. That's unrelated to
yeah.
Bungo Stray Dogs. And I've heard it's sad. Yeah, I'm gonna read that at some point.
Yeah. Also, I finished Demon Slayer. I think it's been that long that I didn't get to mention that yet.
Damn.
Allow me to say I'm
No, I think we did
disappointed.
talk about it in episode 4 of it. But regardless, let's
Could be.
shit on the
Regardless.
show again.
That's the thing. I'm
Yay.
disappointed. I liked the ending, but the rest of it just didn't make up for it. That said, I did start the pseudo season 2.
Moving train arc.
Yes.
Train. I'm gonna wait until a few more episodes are out to continue it, though. Snooze it right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Classic.
I don't think I ever mentioned that I finished what's out of Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga that is.
In English,
And
that is
Jesus
too.
Christ, season 2 is gonna be so good. Like, I was already blown away by season 1, but season 2 is gonna be so much better. It's ridiculous.
Oh, also the trailer for the movie dropped too. I
Oh
don't know
my
if
god,
y'all
I'm
watched
so
it.
hyped.
That looks sick as fuck.
I'm so hyped. I might watch it in Japanese if that's all that's available. Anyway,
Probably one of subtitles.
ugh.
No,
I'm
you
willing
could
to bet
get
the
it
My Hero
subbed, I
movie has
think.
subtitles.
Yeah, My
Oh,
Hero.
yeah, I learned
My
about
Hero
that
is way
coming
more
out, or
popular
it's
though,
out or something.
especially in the West.
Fuck that. I haven't seen any of it, but fuck that show.
Just for that.
It's a good show.
Mm.
Just the fandom is a little bit insane. They
Oh,
really want to make
a little
everybody
bit
gay.
insane.
No, not even it's not even pedophilia. They just want to make everybody gay.
They
Well,
also want to be-
mainly
They are
mainly
also
sexually.
pedophilic.
They
Oh
are
yeah,
all-
speaking of, I did
Is
see
it
a meme earlier.
pedophilia?
Oh,
for
is it
also,
the
like,
the one your
13
brother
years
sent,
old?
Nick?
When I look up Trap Deku, yeah, it's mostly shit about Deku actually being a girl and whatever. But when you put Trap Goku in,
He's a
it
gangbanger.
comes up pictures of him holding an AK with Supreme jacket on, that type of shit.
Yeah, maybe I'll
We live in a
supply the
society.
pics.
Oh
The
yeah,
edit.
please do. Anyway, I watched 2 American shows, one of which is called Only Murders in the Building. I think it's a Hulu original, but I don't know, maybe it's not. It was really good, actually. It's a murder mystery, and Drew, I'm sure you would like it, actually.
I love murder.
It's about these 2 old dudes that live in a building, and they meet up with a younger girl on the night of a murder, and they decide to make a true crime podcast about it. Because the police were like, open shut, it's a suicide. And they're like, nah, it's probably a murder. Hilarious show.
Pretty based.
Actually, like, clever, which is something I can appreciate about a show. A lot of shows are basic as fuck, but, like, they could still be enjoyable. This show actually had it. Give it, like, a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. 8.5, I'll say.
Alright.
And, other show... Oh, I started Dope Sick, and that's not totally out yet, which is
Oh,
unfortunate.
I saw the trailer for that. That has Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That show is so good. It's also the most upsetting show I've ever seen. Like not upsetting for like I'm disappointed that didn't go well. It's like, damn, the shit that happens to the characters is very, very depressing.
Hmm.
Because it's a show about the OxyContin crisis. It fucking sucks.
Yeah. Saw the trailer for that a few times.
Mhm.
Looked
And
fucked
it's
up.
a Hulu original. Watch it if you have Hulu, please. Or pirate it if you don't have Hulu. It's that good. How many times have I advertised pirating on this show?
A lot.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Oh,
Next
okay.
episode, get ready for more. Alright, that's all I got, Andrew.
That's all. Okay. So, first
That's
off,
Syndicast.
gonna run down the shows we've been watching together in our group watch section. We got Kill la Kill. That show was very good. I enjoyed that a lot. To follow it up, we got Interspecies Reviewers. That show, oh my god, what a masterpiece that was. I if you know, you know. Like we got taken off Funimation for being too suggestive. Yeah, pornographic. Like, and this is by Japan standards, so you know. They like probably sell sex toys to kids there. I don't know. Don't take my word for it.
Oh no, honestly, I heard that they were finally raising their age of consent to 18.
Oh, good.
I know, disappointing, right?
All the fat idiots are like, "Yeah, but I like the 14-year-old. You can't do that." Anyways, so we also watched Vinland Saga, which, I mean, it's my favorite anime manga series because I own all the manga. Watched the show twice now. It's so good. I love that show. It we'll talk about some characters from it later today. Um, we watched the movie Akira. Um, yeah, so we're like on the wrong side of history for Demon Slayer. I'm on the wrong side of history for Akira. I thought that show was so bad. I, I, y'all want to chip in a little bit on
However,
that?
anybody that wants to watch it, I would suggest watches it.
I mean,
There's
sure.
something to it.
Yeah, you
There's
might
something
enjoy
to
it. I just
Don't watch it dubbed.
fuck.
Thinking
Oh.
I
back,
think that was a huge part of the problem.
What, Drew?
Thinking back, when I first watched it, I was really like just annoyed because I really wanted it to be really cool because the little bit I knew about it was cool, and I'm like, damn, I really hope this is cool. And I was really mad, like, shit, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Thinking back on it, there was still points that I did enjoy, but there was a lot I didn't enjoy. So I have it at 6. I have it at a 6
Me too.
because there was still parts where I was like, this is fun. There was also
I gave it
some
like a
really
3 or a
weird
4.
But looking at the manga, there's a lot of manga. I think it could just be that. I don't know. I might be.
Oh no, I heard the manga's like really good. The movie was not a great adaptation of it.
The manga eventually, and it might
Yeah.
Because like, for instance,
There's a
at one
lot more
point,
content.
He snuck into the base of like the rebel group. He went there. The guy said something about like, "Oh, are you like a spy?" Aimed a gun at him. He's like, "No way, I can explain myself." Then it cut, and in the immediate next scene, he's then working with them on some job. No explanation. Didn't show how he got with them. Like that's just one example. That happened a few times. Stuff like that, where like they
Yeah.
would start something and then just cut to it being concluded without actually seeing anything happening. And also the ending. I did watch. We watched it like late at night. I was really tired. I was falling asleep a little bit. It didn't make sense to me at all.
No, don't worry. I was wide awake. That shit did not make sense to me either. It was. I mean, well,
They never
rather, I
explained fun
understood
shit.
what they were trying to say, but I just don't think they said it very well.
Yeah, I didn't even understand that. I definitely missed some explanations because I didn't even know.
Yeah, like the whole Akira mystery wasn't very well explained. And
Yeah.
especially with the
That
fucking
definitely would have been.
looking kids.
This definitely also would have been like a more interesting movie if you had like a prequel movie about the original Akira, or just some like look into the lore of it, because it seems like an interesting enough concept, you know, this like superhuman that like could why sorry, it just fucking tapped wrong in magic. This like
Never have.
superhuman. No, never. Raw cuts every day. Anyways,
Have fun
so
hearing that.
what, me saying oh fuck it auto tapped wrong?
Yes.
And now our whole discussion about it afterwards. Yeah, but anyways, back to what I was saying. So Akira, the it could have been more interesting than it was, and I'm disappointed that it was so lackluster. Um, so then the next, we just actually finished last night, The God of High School, which I had already seen. I suggested for us to group watch, and man, is that the best show ever or what, guys? I mean,
That was one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
It's really not good.
the like if you know anything about that show, you know the reason that the anime is so infamous is because it covers 115 chapters of the webtoon
I think
in
more than that.
oh, something along those lines in 13 episodes, which is just absurd pacing. It's and like the big draw to the show, of course, are the fights, which are well animated. I mean, it's done by Mappa. What do you expect there? It looks good in a lot of scenes, but you just don't have attachment to the characters because they didn't build them up at all, and it could have been a
Really,
lot
the
better,
only
which
thing
sucks.
I liked about the show was like some of the moments in the fights were interesting. Like I feel like the fights weren't even that well like
Without the
animated a lot of the
powers,
time.
the fights were really, really well animated. I thought like it looked so clean when they were just fist fighting, or like the guy who had
Some of
the
them did.
baseball bat and
A
reading.
lot of times they didn't. And like I'm trying to remember what I liked besides that, and I don't think there's anything. Like the character like the characters don't look very good.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think
they're
they're
like
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
red tip nose and the
I hate
chunky
yeah,
ears.
I
That's
hate that.
that's not
Yeah.
Mappa's fault. That's just
Yeah,
bad art style.
I mean, what
yeah.
you call it? No, a plot that's extremely hard to follow. Bad
Again, though,
character
I think the
just
plot's only hard to follow
development.
because of um, the
The horrible
yeah
adaptation.
the terrible
Hell,
pacing.
But
the
yeah,
show
I
has
know.
a
No, I mean, yeah, of course
7.06,
that's
you
gonna
know.
be the reason. But like, I can't forgive the show for like the fact it was adapted
Yeah, that's fair.
poorly.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what else I enjoy. I generally don't think there's anything. And also, like, I prefer subtitles to dubs, so
Yeah.
the show lost me a bit there. But yeah, man, I was just kind of disappointed. I was hoping at least it'd be like ironically enjoyable, but I feel like the fights there were. I wish it was either. I kind of wish it was fighting all the time, like literally, like every minute besides like 3 minutes are fighting. That's what I would love. I feel like this. I feel like I actually might enjoy it and might have enjoyed this show if it was that.
Yeah.
They
That's fair.
literally buzzed and said no words. That'd
Yeah.
be nice.
That would have
Yeah,
been
there's just
sick.
yeah, it's like a minute and a half before of like just smack talk, and then a half the end of like reconciliation, and it's that for every episode. I think
Yeah, I
I would
would have
enjoy
loved
that
that.
more.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so that's our little rant on that show. If you liked it, well, you're wrong. We're right. Anyways,
Nothing wrong with liking it. Just please don't think it's good.
that's true. That's true. I did enjoy myself watching it, but by no means am I under the illusion that it was a good show. Um, so on to what I've been watching. So I mentioned before that I was gonna have a really good transition from Blue Period because that show's about just someone finding what they love to do, and I watched this show called Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin, which I know Dylan really wants to watch. Uh, and it's not a show I would normally go for, which is what I said about Odd Taxi too. Um, but it was really good. It follows three high school girls. I think they're all like fresh into high school, which in Japan is like sophomore for here in America. So they're like still in the de, de, dev fuck. They're developing like
Do it.
what they want to be in the world and like their minds, but most two of the characters are set on drawing and creating anime. Well, their friend, who was my favorite character, was the money person. She always analyzed everything and kept a tight budget, and she provided a lot of like dry humor, which I really enjoy, to this otherwise very cheery show. That it's just about people finding enjoyment in what they do, and I didn't have any interest really in animation, but that show got me interested, and it got me interested real quick. So that was really cool. Oh, and I did promise Drew that I would be comparing it to the fantastic series Good Game, by the Game Grumps.
Wait, how?
I remember I
Uh,
talking about
so what
Where are you
we
going
said
with
about
this?
Good Game was that it had a pretty like low ceiling, and it also had a low floor, and it hit that ceiling really well. And I think that applies to Keep Your Hands Off Isaac, and at least in my case, maybe if like you're familiar with the writer's previous works, I don't know if he had anything major like this is what you expected, this like brilliant uh, show. But for me, I went into it thinking I might enjoy myself watching this, and I came out of it thinking, man, that blew my expectations out of the water. Like I was thinking maybe I'd give this a 7 at most. Like this show probably isn't for me. I ended up giving it a 9. I thought it was truly just so good. Kind of what I thought with Good Game too, like we mentioned in episode 2. So there you go, Dylan. I'm sure I didn't scare you away from watching this show.
That was
'cause-
honestly okay. What you said is honestly somehow more offensive than what I was saying. With
What?
how the show has like a ceiling as high, a show that is
I
like
said for me
professional.
personally, because when
For
I
you
went into it,
personally,
I went into it thinking that I wouldn't like it that much, and it just blew my expectations away.
alright, you did say that at first.
Yeah, I did.
At least I didn't hear it.
Oh. Well, if you didn't hear it, then it didn't happen. So,
Yeah, so it didn't happen then.
That
Yeah.
really irked me. 'Cause I'm sorry. Fucking Good Game, a show made by the fucking Game Grumps, has the same ceiling as a professionally just produced
not the
like an
same
actual
thing.
show
Oh,
with
you don't
actual
think Good Game
like
is
actors.
professionally produced?
No, it isn't. It's
You
fucking a
didn't say
YouTube
it's
original. They gave one of those to fucking PewDiePie and Jake Paul. Of
It's
course,
not just any
not
YouTube
professional.
original, it's a YouTube Red original.
Exactly, they're the same thing.
No, they're not. One of them has red in the name.
I bet you
It's
sound.
the same
I
thing.
bet you sound stupid right now. It literally is red
yeah,
in the
to you.
title. All right, so the other stuff I've watched, because I've watched a lot. I mentioned before I've been in purgatory, which my fun way of saying the internet at my school kind of bugged out, and I couldn't join Discord, talk to the boys, or play games or anything. So I've been watching a lot of shit. So just real quick, I finished Kakegurui second season. Didn't care for it. Not going to elaborate more on that. I watched all of Hellsing Ultimate, which is this 10 episode. They're each like an hour long. It's a complete OVA series made over like 7 years by Madhouse. That show is really, really good, I think. I do think it suffers a bit from, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, just some stuff not being as serious as it should be. Like the switches between being serious and being really jokey. We talked about it.
Yeah, we brought that up before.
Okay, yeah. Demon Slayer, we said did it poorly. Jujutsu Kaisen, we said did it well. That show, I didn't care for it in it, but mainly it was honestly the animation style changes that caused the shifts in like tone. So that's not even that big of a deal as far as I'm concerned. But and then there was also a twist that if you know this show, you probably know what I'm talking about. On like episode 8 or 9, that I just wanted more context on. It didn't really make sense for the case of the show. But yeah, we're gonna end up group watching that, so really excited to see what everyone else here thinks about it. I watched Afro Samurai and Yasuke. I'm saying them at the same time because they're both very short shows. Afro Samurai is goated for the fact that now I can put Sam Jackson on my favorite characters list on Mal. The show itself, if you just want like a brain dead show about with like good fights, kind of like what we were talking about, we wanted the God of High School to be, then the show could be for you. But if you want to pay attention to the plot, I think you're going to be very disappointed.
Well, yeah,
Um,
they really talks and say no words in Afro.
Yeah, I like Afro
This is
literally like so Afro and what's the other guy's name? They're both Ninja. They're both voiced by Sam Jackson. And Afro's the main character, and he says probably a 20th of the words that Ninja says throughout the series.
The Ninja Ninja's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, he's a really funny character. So yeah, if that sounds like something that tickles your fancy, go for it. Next, Yasuke. Yeah, I was hyped to watch this when I first heard it announced because I thought it sounded pretty cool, but like, I want to know why they included robots and superpowers in the story based on a black samurai that could have just been a classic samurai story, but he's black instead. Like, that could have been a lot cooler, I think. So, bit disappointed in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the trailers did not lead to that at all.
Yeah.
Because I watched the trailer when the show just came out. I was like, yeah, it looks okay. But damn,
Yeah.
based on that, what you're telling, I haven't seen this show, but based on what you're telling me, I don't want to.
It's only 6 episodes, so it's not so inoffensive that, or so offensive that it's like impossible to watch or anything, but it could have been better, and it's disappointing that it wasn't. Next up, I watched Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, plus the movie that continues the story a little bit, which is basically, if you liked Attack on Titan, you're probably gonna like this show. It's Attack on Titan, but with zombies for the most part. And I mean, the characters are pretty cool. It's animated by Wit, so it has a lot of those really good moments that Attack on Titan had for, like the cool shots and stuff. Yeah, solid show. What, Drew?
Does it have that same like mystery element that Attack on Titan did, where it's like trying to figure out what's going on? 'Cause that was like the main thing that got me able to watch
There,
that much.
you can definitely inquire about where the Kabeni, it's what they're called, because Kabaneri is a hybrid between the zombie creatures and the humans. You find out in like episode 1, so don't worry, it's not a spoiler. Yeah, so you can definitely ask those questions. Unfortunately, you won't get answers. Because as far as I know, the show's not getting another season, which is disappointing. I think it deserves it. It's solid. But they're like, they got to the point of, they overcame the typical bad guy, which could have been improved. But maybe I'll talk about that later. And now they ride trains around Japan to like protect themselves from the zombies. So they're just riding around trains. The movie's just like the same messages that the show tries to send, but a lot shorter, and felt a bit repetitive. But again, all right. Anyways, it's solid. If you like that kind of story, watch that show. I actually started Bungo Stray Dogs after Nick here started it, and I finished it in 2 days because, like I said, I had nothing to do. And that show, the plot, not that great. The abilities, pretty cool, but honestly, kind of felt a bit like JoJo's. With they have powers, and there's no like broader explanation. You know, like Naruto has the chakra system, and Demon Slayer has the breathing techniques. No, I mean, some people just can negate powers, like Dazai, who we mentioned before. Some people can turn into tigers. Other people create weapons out of notebooks. It's whatever they want it to be, which is fun. I like that aspect for it. But the thing that this show has going for it really is just the incredible cast of characters. I watched that show, and there wasn't a single character I disliked. They were just all so much fun to watch and see the interactions of. And seasons 2 and 3 each have 4 episode like kind of prologues to when the story continues, where it's just Dazai's past, which is really interesting. And I highly recommend this show. It's, like I said, it's just a fun watch with the characters and all. Um, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off. I watched Gurren Lagann. Um, no, thank you. It was not my cup of tea, I guess you could say. I thought it was very overrated considering it has like an 8.64 on Val or something.
No way.
Yeah, it's insanely high. It's uh, how to talk about this show.
How
So
to speak your mind, bro.
all right, let's see. So the power system in that show is completely based on your willpower, your willingness to fight or whatever, and it's just I don't know. Maybe it's because I've watched Naruto. I've watched Attack on Titan. It's so annoying at this point. Like, uh, I don't know how I would have reacted to this show, uh, like a year ago before I watched a lot of these things, but it feels so weird. The uh, the cool main character that you're introduced to early, I like him a lot. Um, I don't care for where this show goes after its time skip for one reason, and that reason is, oh, what's his name? The that kid from the cult village, Drew. If you can help me out real quick.
Ratsuo?
Yeah, Rossio. He's just such a bitch, and then they end it all his like character arc off with wait, but all those asshole things he didn't want to do it. He felt like he had to, which then just makes him
shit,
seem
man.
like an idiot. Because the decisions he made were like the stupidest shit I've ever seen. He wanted to arrest the main character for like trying to protect the people because when aliens attack and like are bombing the city, when you destroy their like ships and the ships blow up afterwards into like pieces of antimatter or whatever and nuke the city basically, yeah, you should have known that and you should get the death sentence for that. Like, no, fuck you. Oh, but don't worry, guys. He's crying after he decided on the death sentence, so he's still compassionate at heart. Don't give me that bullshit. He was a terrible character, so frustrating to watch. Um, and the
Can I
show,
comment?
I watched that show like a decade ago, nearly.
Oh.
So I barely remember it.
yeah,
I
I
remember
remember it vividly because I hated that shit. Um, but so also the end of the show, I heard ahead of time was like, oh, this super deep thing. It's like, it's got this great meaning behind it. You know what it is? It's just humans shouldn't like go so far as to try and like pass God. And I feel like that's a really tackled subject at this point, and maybe this show was one of the first to do it. Maybe like if they were, props to them, but it's just not interesting. It's like, yeah, I get it. People shouldn't like it's the story of Icarus in Greek mythology. You can't fly too close to the sun or your wings will burn. I get it. Um anyways, to be fair, the Spiral King, who's the main antagonist of the first 15 episodes, very dull antagonist, but then later on he becomes a good guy through some convoluted means, and he's really dope. He's like a Giga Chad. He he's this ripped bald dude with a spiky
Oh,
beard,
let's go.
and he just like sacrifices himself for the good guys, which always good to see when a villain turns around. Not when it's just like such a quick turnaround that you're like, oh, where'd this come from? But it was like a very uh, methodical setup, and I did like that part of the show. Um, so yeah, that's my talk on Gurren Lagann. Just shouldn't have an 8.64. I gave it like a 5 or something. Yeah. Um, so then I watched season 1 of Moriarty the Patriot, which Drew had talked about before, and I'm loving it so far. I'm there for it. It's really fun. Um,
McDonald's reference.
it's great. I mean, not much else to say about it, really. Uh, I just started season 2. I'm like one episode in, but it's just fun to see like an unconventional Sherlock Holmes who isn't put together like you see in this. I say that.
This is what
You
I
know
liked
what?
about this more. He seemed more like an act like in other adaptations. Like, he's still just as smart and like
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was just saying shit out of my ass. I don't think I've ever like seen or read a Sherlock Holmes story before this. Like I know shit about it, but
I love
I'm
Sherlock.
assuming he's more put together than he is in the show.
He acts like an actual human being. Just he keeps all the really cocky, really like egotistical parts
Yeah.
and the treating other and stuff. So like he gets rid of the acting like a literal robot, which is just sometimes it can be funny for like jokes, but sometimes it's just frustrating seeing him like he's like, yeah, I get that you're smart and all this, like on a whole other level, but at least act even the tiniest bit like you're an actual person. And that's why I like this one a lot. He was very real.
Yeah. So my final conclusion of this show, as I've only seen season 1, is if you like Death Note and you think it'd be cool if Death Note didn't have any like supernatural things and took place in Victorian England, check the show out.
Like Sherlock Holmes,
Oh yeah, sure.
which is why I watched it.
Well, because like it's not a Sherlock Holmes story necessarily. It's like,
Good amount of Sherlock.
well, no, well, that's not what I mean. I'm saying it's like a back and forth between two intellectual forces,
Yeah.
Moriarty and Sherlock, which is really entertaining to view happen, which is why I said Death Note. So yeah, solid show. And then what I've been reading, I picked up the third volume of Mashal um, when I returned home the other weekend, which is it's like Harry Potter and One Punch Man. Uh, the main character can't do magic, so instead he's jacked as shit, and it's really fun. I highly recommend it. It's only 3 volumes in, which is, like I said, how many I have now. And then I also picked up volumes 15 and 16 of Golden Kamuy, and this series is great. And I'm gonna tie it into the villain talk, because this is one version of villains that I really like. But Golden Kamuy, it's a historical manga about a group of Japanese soldiers shortly after uh, the Russo-Japanese War, um, who are looking for this lost stash of gold, and they run into other groups along the way who are all competing for the gold. But the map to the gold is tattooed on these 18, I believe, prison inmates that they have to like track down, and they end up skinning a few of them. It can be quite gruesome. It is the seinen category, so they're not afraid to go like deeper than what shonen usually goes for. Um, and it's really entertaining. It also teaches you a lot about cuisine for the Ainu people, who are the natives to Japan. So that's also really entertaining. But so now tying it into villains, Golden Kamuy. One of the parts I really like about that series is you're introduced to the main character, the immortal Sujimoto, who's a war hero who just like nothing seems to kill him. Um, and he's the protagonist, right? He kills people because he was a soldier. He's trained to think it's okay to do so. But other than that, he's a good guy. And then there's the bad guy groups, and I say groups because there's just so many. Like the prisoners that I mentioned before are pretty much all involved with trying to get the gold, and they're prisoners. They're like hardened criminals, a lot of them, and so they're bad guys. But then some of them are just so badass that you can't help but think, God damn, this is awesome. Like gosh, I can't remember his name. Higa. Do you remember it by any chance?
Which guy?
The long beard old guy who was a samurai in the shogunate.
I was gonna say Higashicha, but that's Josuke.
Yeah,
Um,
something like that. I'll provide a picture and maybe put the name up.
use something.
Yeah, he's a really sick old dude who uses a sword and a gun, dual wielding, which is really sick. Um, he's just so much fun to watch. He's also like a really uh intelligent person. Yeah, Hijikata. There we go. He's a very intelligent person, who's like always planning ahead and stuff. And he creates his like squad of bad guys who interact with the main character. And where I am right now, they're kind of joined forces, temporarily. And then there's this guy. Oh yeah, I mentioned he dual wields a sword and a gun. I think it's like a sawed-off shotgun.
It's a lever action rifle and
Okay.
samurai.
Yeah, which is
So fucking.
really cool. And yeah, it's fun to watch him. And the other main bad guy group, is led by this guy, Lieutenant Surumi. He's got like this plate on his head because a grenade blast knocked part of his brain out, so he's a little crazy. And he's filled with just an army of them, which from episode 1 we've talked about extensively. But it's still just funny to watch them exist in this world. So yeah, like him. Yeah, so all the villains they're just really fun to watch, even if they're doing like really evil shit. It's just still entertaining. But anyways, bring that into other villains we like. Anyone want to go?
I'll go. I got a few. I don't got too many, so I'll just go through them all. First of all, Griffith. We all hate him. We love to hate him, but we mostly hate him. Griffith from Berserk. If you haven't watched Berserk, watch the movie. Don't watch the show. Don't watch the show. People say the show.
Those overrated movies are
They're
good.
liars. They're liars. The movies are great. Actually, just read the manga.
Yeah.
But if you want to watch something, watch the movie.
Pirate the manga.
The show, either one, the CG movie show or the old show, they're both bad. Don't watch either of them. Watch the 3 movies that are on Netflix and then just read them all.
Piss some people off saying the old one's bad.
I'm gonna piss a lot of people off.
We're gonna piss Chris off. That's like his favorite show.
Yeah.
Well, he's wrong. Doesn't matter.
And we're right, so.
And this isn't me being biased. I love Berserk. I think Berserk is great. Berserk is one of my favorites. And I think the old show was terrible. It was a terrible, terrible show. Whatever. Griffith.
It was so shit.
I like about it.
So I enjoyed the music. That was good. Not the opening. The OST.
I love the opening. I don't know what you're on right now.
Yeah, Griffith.
Put your glasses on. Oh wait, I don't want it to get copyrighted if that ever happens. I don't know. If you know, you know.
Insane. He just wanted power and wanted to protect people, but then at a certain point, he well, spoilers, obviously. Killed everyone to protect them. So then, oh well, he's killed everyone. Now what's he gonna do with his power?
Wait, he killed them to get the power to protect them, right?
The power wasn't necessarily to protect them. It's just he wanted to be strong and be a good leader. But then to gain that strength to be a good leader, he killed everyone he was leading.
Yeah.
To get that strength,
Makes sense.
a little backwards.
A little ridiculous.
But yeah, Griffith.
You can find a
is
new
awesome.
army, I guess.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, he only gets better in the manga. So yeah. After this one, I completely forgot about this character until I was looking through the list of shows I've watched to see what villains I really enjoyed. And I found one that's kind of a little bit unexpected. Tsukasa from Dr. Stone.
Oh, that's good. I was thinking
He's
about
a
that
great
actually.
villain because
He's the lion's hide guy, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I think he's such a great villain is because I really like the characters in Dr. Stone. Senku, great. Chrome, great. His 2 friends, great. So many
The
great characters.
blind guy and the dweeb.
No, the high school friends.
Oh yeah, they were cool.
They were awesome. Don't remember
They're
their names.
awesome. So many cool characters in that show. My favorite character in that show was Suki. I always.
Oh, what? You didn't like the pig Latin guy?
I also
What's
love
his
the
name?
big black guy. He was great too.
What's his name?
But again,
Gen. I wanted to say Geen, but that's from
I really like the
Bleach.
Gen, not Tsukasa was awesome. I always wanted to see more Tsukasa. Other than the fact that he was evil, I almost kind of wanted him to win just because if he lost, maybe he would like stop being in the show. So I would
Say that again.
You know?
To be fair, saying he's a bad guy, I mean, he did,
He was a pretty bad guy.
His
he
heart
wasn't
was
a
in the right
good
place,
guy.
but-
Yeah, he wanted what
He
was
did,
best, but the way he
find
wanted
murder.
it was.
Um,
Well, he wanted to murder the people who would ruin the human race, like the people who would
Well,
lead to the fat capitalist pigs and shit.
yeah,
like-
but in his eyes, that was.
We live in a society.
Are you trying to get me to say something here?
No.
No need.
That is, in his eyes, that was all people over a certain age. People
Yeah.
that have reached maturity.
He did think
Whereas
old
not-
people were the problem, which,
Not
as I
necessarily.
discussed in episode 1, it's religion, so he should have learned from me.
Yeah.
Man,
so,
if only we were Dr. Stone.
great. Also, Sukuna's voice actor. Who is he again? Who's someone great? Is he okay?
I don't. No, that's
No.
that's that bitch, the guy who cheated in the. Well, he didn't cheat. He like tricked the glasses guy. I can see his face.
Oh, Magma.
Yeah, Magma. That's him.
Magma. Yeah. Yeah. Either way. Oh, he was Victor. Victor Leeds from.
Oh, that's right. Fire Force. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Sukuna just cool in every way. Also, he just looked epic. He was
Yeah.
an epic
He
guy.
was a Giga Chad. Give him
Okay,
that.
next. Just two more. Part 7, minor spoilers, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, this part.
Yeah. It
main
is
villain for
technically
part-
spoilers.
It is technically spoilers. But
It's
no
kind of
one-
like saying who the villain for part 6 is, though. Too. It's like
you
not
meet
that
him,
big of a deal.
you meet him, it's obvious this guy's not a good guy. Who he is, that part's a little surprising. He's the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Funny balance.
And now
Funny
part
balance.
7 was written in early 2000s.
Let's see, I have it right here. 2004.
Okay, yeah. So
George
I don't
W. Bush.
We can
because
talk
he's
about
like a blonde dude. So I was thinking, is he supposed to be like Trump? But no,
No.
that's way too early
Yeah.
for Trump.
Slight aside from him, his stand, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Not gonna explore what it does, because finding out what it does is always really cool. Finding out the main bad guy
Yeah.
stand feels really cool stand.
Yeah, it's really dope.
I'm talking about
I'm
him.
just gonna beg it's not time related.
It's not time related.
Oh, finally.
Thank God.
For once.
Araki has an original idea.
So yeah, not time related stand, but so cool. Really complicated. Took me a bit to understand what's going on there. But Funny Valentine is awesome because he is a villain who, more so than many other villains that I've seen, from his point of view, he's the hero, and his motives are
Ooh, there's a character to talk about like that.
yes. We do have another character like that. But to himself, his motives are purely good. He just wants what's best for America. Now, he is also a bad guy. He does terrible things in order to do that. Some really bad things. Some things I was surprised to see in that manga, which reminded me, oh wait, part 7 it's seinen now. This is no longer.
Which means this 37-year-old man can also marry a 14-year-old. Or no, wait. Steele, who was actually married to her, was like 50.
Yeah.
But the president wanted her.
Funny Valentine did some stuff that happens after marriage, or tried
Yeah.
to. She wasn't a fan. That's where we're gonna leave that. That part wasn't cool. But
She said
Valentine,
no.
great character. His backstory is really cool. He also had a Nick, what's that movie with Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Pulp Fiction. He had a Pulp Fiction reference. There was a whole
Oh.
scene that was just basically cut straight from Pulp Fiction.
Considering I haven't seen that movie, that's a shame.
Oh, really? Bro, cult
Yeah.
classic. Get on watching that.
It's that, I think Pulp Fiction is it's one of those movies, probably the movie I've been like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it, and I
then-
probably said I'm gonna watch
You
it
know,
like 3 years
I'm
ago.
talking about Pulp Fiction here. I actually never finished the movie. I actually stopped
Bro.
watching during the scene I was just talking
Dog,
about.
the last time we talked about a movie that you should watch, you also said you just stopped watching it. That one with the guy who plays Lex Luthor and he's playing as Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh my, the social
Oh,
network.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I just got bored and annoyed.
What?
He's an annoying character. He was a
Alright. We talked about this on the last one. We talked about this on the last one.
I got
Did?
too
Alright,
riled up.
fine.
time. Yeah, I didn't hate that movie. I might finish it eventually, but I just got annoyed watching it. And last villain to talk about. This one, kind of a group of villains, a category of villains, one might say. But I'm going to use a specific one here just to explain it. It's the kind of villain where the villain isn't a particular person or group or anything. It's just the protagonist is against something that is indiscriminate towards the protagonist. Isn't out to end him or anything. It's just doing whatever it's doing, and that's purely against the protagonist's goals, which makes it the antagonist. Not necessarily the villain. A little cheating here, but whatever. The one I want to give is from Dune, because of course Dune, love Dune. The planet that he's on, Arrakis. It's not like a sentient life form or anything. No spoilers there. But Arrakis is a desert planet, and living in the desert is hell. Living on a planet that's only desert is really hell, especially when it's filled with giant sandworm things that will eat you if you walk around too much. Yeah. Main character, a
You
lot
for
of it,
walking.
people living in the desert. Everyone, their main. Well, there is other villains, many villains, many characters to begin with in that story. One of the biggest villains and just antagonists. Again, not villains. Should say that. Just antagonists. Thing foil to the main character's plan is just the planet he's on is constantly out to kill him, and just the idea of a villain whose villainy isn't at all directed towards the character. It just happens to be impacting him.
Isn't that just like an obstacle? I don't think that's an antagonist.
Well, I mean, in that specific in parts of the story where it's affecting him, like at the part where I'm at right now in the book, I'm rereading the book for the second time right now, or rereading it for the first, reading it the second time. So I already know what happens later, but right now he does have a villain. He has a main goal of get revenge for everything that's been happening to him, and kill the bad guys. I don't know, defeat the bad guys. Right now, the only thing that's really in his way is the planet itself and everything. And I'm mainly using this just because I really want to talk about Dune, but I don't completely love the main villain of the first book, so I don't want to talk about him. But just like the indiscriminate villain. Another like somewhat thing is if anyone's ever read any H.P. Lovecraft books, a lot of the villains in his stuff, terrible guy, great writer. A lot of the villains in his stuff are like those like eldritch monster horror things that are just.
That's a fun part of Bungo Stray Dogs you'll get to. There's a
Oh, I love that stuff.
there's a Lovecraft
What?
reference.
Oh my god, I am excited for that. Cool. So yeah, just like the indiscriminate villain that isn't even really a villain; it's just existing, and that's against the antagonist. I like that. And am I cheating because it's not a villain? Absolutely yes, but I don't care.
All right.
And those are all mine.
Okay.
I'll
Dylan.
go next. Yeah.
Yes.
So I just thought of one. Teruki Hanazawa from Mob Psycho 100. He's the big
Oh,
hair
the
dude.
pineapple head.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that guy.
I really liked. I forgot about him, but yeah, I really liked him. The what you call it? I just sort of liked his arrogance.
He's barely a villain, honestly. He's kind of.
Well, I mean, when you first meet him,
started as
he's a
one.
villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's extremely arrogant, a total asshole. He thinks he's hot shit. And he made, and then he meets Mob, who really just doesn't want to fight him. He wants to show him, it's a battle. It's a physical battle, but it's also a battle of like, ideologies. Like, Mob's like, hey, you have all this power, but you know, why would you use it? Why do you want to use it to hurt other people? That's not a good use of it. And as well as that, even with all this power, there's always gonna be somebody stronger than you, and it's Mob. And I feel like after realizing that he loses without Terra loses without even Mob doing anything to him, he sort of realizes there's so much more to just having all these powers and just using them for your own selfish desires. And I thought that was great, especially since Mob so early on in the series was able to have such a positive impact on somebody, which is probably what he wanted. One of the things he wanted all along. So I thought everything surrounding that was great. And then my other villain is from Fargo, Jerry Lundergaard. This is
Oh, let's go.
God
I
damn
love
it!
this one.
Do I fucking love Fargo? I really have to rewatch it. I think last time I watched it was actually I think it was playing like the day or the night before my birthday. That's how I remember the date.
Wow.
So it's been a while, but that was the second time I watched it. But yeah, very very good movie. And the main guy, he's the main character really, but he's also the main antagonist. And he's just such a conniving, just manipulative little asshole. He's so hateable. He sucks so much. He is so willing to just like.
This
he's
is
a
why
person-
you think he's a good villain, by the way.
He's
Sorry.
a good villain.
He's a fucking
because
weasel.
he's not like, waha, I'm going to take over the world. I'm gonna have all the money. Woohoo! He's like, he just wants he knows what he wants, and he's so willing to throw anybody else under the bus to sort of like save his own skin. And I'm not gonna say like because I think this is a fucking amazing movie. Most people do. I'm not gonna say like what the situation is that causes him to like do what he does or whatever. But he's such a weaselly little conniving piece of shit, and it's so just he is very interesting to watch for one. But man, is he just a hateable? He's just so hateable. Great villain though. That's all I have to say.
I've never heard of
Completely
Fargo.
agree. Oh my god, watch it, please.
Yeah, Fargo. It's
I
The
think
best-
it's on Hulu. I was honestly
And if it's
considering
not,
watching it today.
pirate it.
it's one of those movies you can like it's one of those movies you can always watch. I feel like there's so much to it, so much attention to detail, and great character development. Like whenever I think of like just character development, I always compare it to Fargo. 'Cause it's not really a spoiler for Fargo, but there's this one scene, Nick, you'll know, where what you call it, where Marge Gunderson is like meeting with like that Asian dude for like coffee or like at some diner or whatever, and that guy's on screen for 5 minutes in the entire movie, and in those 5 minutes, you know everything about him. You know his entire backstory, what he wants to accomplish in his life, his passions, his insecurities. It's amazing. I just love the movie, and I
Damn,
think that's a good example of it.
catch me off guard. I forgot about that, dude. I gotta watch that movie again. That's all it means.
Oh, one would
It's a movie
Will
worth
do.
watching again.
might say
Absolutely.
you don't have to.
No, you do, Andrew.
Well-
you absolutely have to watch this movie.
You know.
I
to
beg
each
to
their own,
differ.
you know.
Andrew, if you
What would happen if
sat
I don't
through-
watch it?
I mean,
You'll
I'm
miss
Riddle
out.
me this.
Why don't I just go through your anime list and name every single show that's longer than Fargo and is also.
Hey, that's not what I'm saying.
Here-
I'm not saying I shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't have to.
Dylan, you're letting the bit go on. Please don't.
I can't wait. What'd you say? Sorry.
You're letting the bit keep going. You're feeding him to continue. Please
Oh.
stop.
Oh, I forgot that's what he was
Every
doing.
Yeah.
Damn it, you tricked me.
What? I didn't trick you. Okay.
Led me on, you bastard.
What can I say?
Anyways, Nick.
Spoiler for
Oh,
next
yeah.
episode, I'm gonna hate that bit. That's getting an F tier from me.
You would
Alright,
think
I've
that.
got a few to
Oh,
name off,
there
so
it
I'm gonna
is.
try to keep it brief. Yeah, more than a few. Alright, so you know, very simple one from my favorite anime, second favorite now, actually. Death Note.
Wait, second favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was finally overtaken by Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh.
Finally
Oh, because
overtaken
you
by the
read the
god of
manga,
high
right?
school.
It's because of the
Yeah.
manga, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, L, because if you want to go over storytelling, he is the villain of the show.
Yeah.
Which is why I find him to be a great villain, because he's the good guy. That's not done all that often.
I mean, that's
and,
perspective,
I
which is
honestly wish it
also
was done more.
awesome. Yeah. I'll just, go back on that high I was riding for episode 2 and 3 or whatever. Code Geass does that very well, too. Perspective shifts in that show very frequently.
Interesting. All right. Got two more from Japanese
Media.
media. Yeah. I got Toji Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen, and y'all don't really know about him yet. It's ahead in the manga, so I don't want to spoil anything. But I mean, if you know, you know. This dude is fucking awesome. He's a fan favorite to anybody that read the manga, and there's good reason for it. You know, personality, ability, everything. He's just fucking awesome. At one point, super bass. He's like, "Oh wait, I had a son." That's the
Oh,
type of guy he
that
is.
probably sounded familiar. Anyways,
Alright, and here's a different one. I would like to discuss Muzan Kibutsuji a little bit.
Oh.
Because I think he's
Wait,
a
what
bad
show is
villain.
this?
This is
Oh.
from Demon Slayer.
Oh,
I think this
okay.
guy is a bad
The Michael
representation of
Jackson,
villainy.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will say that, and that will piss some people off. A lot of people think he's one of the goats. But I
Why?
am annoyed by the fact.
What has he
I don't
done?
know. What has he done? He's been very powerful, very imposing, because he can make every single one of the bottom half shit their pants.
Yeah, what a power. I mean, to be fair, if my power was to walk around and make people randomly shit themselves, I'd be pretty full of myself too.
Yeah, but that's the problem. He's so fucking arrogant, and it's just annoying. Like, and that's the worst part. I always find it fun when like somebody's very arrogant and they can back it up, and he can. But I'm just annoyed by this guy because he has no personality even.
I mean,
like, in
this
the
is
fight.
definitely a
He's just
discrepancy
angry
of
because people are weaker
where
than
the
him.
show is to the manga, because there's just so much more to learn about him, I'm sure.
I don't care. I haven't seen it, so it doesn't exist. This guy sucks.
Fair
I will
enough, fair
tell you,
enough.
I've learned most of, well, at least from what I can tell, I've pretty much learned exactly why Jiren is doing and how Jiren is doing. It's interesting, but it doesn't make me like the character anymore. I don't hate the character as much as you do. I think he looks kind of cool, and that's basically all. I like his design.
Yeah, he looks alright. I guess so.
He's
Alright,
kinda just a dick. He's not like a good motivation bad guy. He's just a dick.
yeah.
Well,
I
it's a
got
pretty good
6
motivation.
more, so try to bear with me here.
Okay.
I'll gloss over a couple. From Titanfall 2, I really like Kuben Blisk.
Which one's that? Wait, I fucking love
He's
that.
he's the leader of the Apex crew. The guy that the one guy you don't get to kill.
That guy?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's cool. That
He's
guy's
fucking
dead.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Not gonna go into him too. He's just a cool guy to have on screen.
Yes.
Interesting villain, I thought. Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5, also known as the Father.
That guy's
First
cool.
of all, the actor that plays him looks exactly the same as the character. Like they just modeled him
That's cool.
off the real guy, which I thought was interesting in like the promo footage because I recognized the dude. And like he's interesting because it's like a lot of conflicting morals about him. Because he's incredibly like Christian. He's a cult leader, and he has no
Like
problem
most
with trying to.
Christians.
Yeah, he's no problem with trying to get you killed, which is interesting.
Oh my god.
Because a lot of cult leaders seem to forget about a pillar of Christianity that you're not allowed to kill people.
Well, it's okay.
anyway,
God will
it's like-
forgive them.
Sure. But there's like 4 main villains in the game, and he's the only one that really has depth. I think they like show a range of emotions, and I can always appreciate that. My final villain for video games, this one unfortunately got cut off because it was amazing. Believe you me. Lou from Guitar Hero 3
Oh my.
is, in my opinion, the greatest villain of all of video gaming. There's no argument to be had here. He is the best because he's the only villain capable of causing me real life harm.
Care to
I mean,
elaborate?
like, if you follow the podcast, you should know that we a rock band known as Ghost Syndicate. and I
That
happen to be the
doesn't
lead
have
guitarist of such a
any
band.
music out yet.
Yeah, not yet.
But I'm sure we will.
But as the lead guitarist
at
of the
a
band,
point.
I have a very large problem that Lou has given me when I was trying to beat the game on fucking hard difficulty a few years ago. And like I was standing there for like 3 hours trying to do the final boss fight. My wrist started cramping up, but I was like, I don't fucking care. I gotta beat this. That led to a literal permanent injury. Like I got that shit where my wrist cracks every time I move it around.
Oh, my knees do that.
I got that, bro.
It's
I
like
got that in
tennis
like
elbow,
all
but in
my
wrist.
joints.
And I got it from that night. And now if I play the guitar for an extended period of time, it fucking hurts like a bitch. Which sucks. Don't worry though, our live shows will be epic.
I had to look up who Lou was. I thought it was gonna be like Tom Morello and just be like a human, and then
No,
well,
he's
I'm
Lou as
very
in
wrong.
Lucifer. He's the devil.
I didn't realize.
What?
I didn't realize he did. The Devil Went Down to Georgia. That was.
Oh
his,
yeah, it's a metal version of Devil Went Down to Georgia, and it's very hard
It's
to
a-
play.
Yeah, what you call it? I remember like, well, I don't know if I definitely played against like him when I played Guitar Hero. I probably beat him on like, I don't know if you could set it like the difficulty.
Yeah.
But if you could set it to easy, then I probably beat him on easy.
Easy, medium, hard, expert. I fucking love that game so much.
Yeah, me too.
When you said that there's gonna be you had a villain ready that only I would know, like other than you, obviously. I thought it was gonna be like a Destiny character or something. I have no idea what
Nah.
you're talking about.
Oh no,
Alright.
that's I know you haven't seen all of Breaking Bad yet, but I'm gonna mention Gus Fring
Oh my God.
because he is
I love Gus. I haven't even met him in the show.
truly the most interesting villain I've seen in a live action show. I've seen a good deal of those, by the way, just for point of reference. This man, like, he's not even like the first villain of the show. He's the second. Yeah, second.
Mhm.
And he is fucking so. It's like you would think he's the main character with all the like personality and backstory they give you and everything. There's so much to this character that I don't want to talk about because if anybody hasn't seen the show, I do still think it's the best show I've ever seen. So watch Breaking Bad.
I feel like that's
Is-
a given. Like, if you like,
Yeah,
I feel like
most people
anybody who
that saw the
hasn't
show would
seen
say that.
Breaking Bad is like considering watching Breaking Bad. Like, everybody knows what it is. Everybody
It was
knows
a show I
it's
said I
meant
should
to be
watch for like
amazing.
5 years, and one day I was like, fuck it, starting now. Anyway, I got two more that I won't take too long on.
Alright.
One of which, have any of you seen the movie In Bruges?
No.
Oh, my dad wanted me to watch that for so
Dude,
long.
watch it, please. First of all, hilarious movie. Second of all, for a comedy, like, very well written. You don't get that a lot in comedies, like actual character development and depth. But this movie has it. And the villain, Harry Waters, one of the funniest guys I've ever seen on screen. And it's just like his personality. He's very like witty and sarcastic. And he always like doesn't want to do the shit he wants to do, like the evil shit he wants to go do. But he's like, damn it. I guess I have to. And of course he doesn't have to, but you know.
Obviously.
And I will end this off with one that a lot of people like to mention. Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. And have any of you seen that movie?
No.
Nope.
Definitely heard
Alright.
of it, but yeah, have not seen it yet.
Also a must watch.
Oh,
'Cause-
that movie! Oh,
You know who this guy is, Anton Chigurh?
I know that.
He's like the most infamous villain in all of movies.
He's the one played by Javier Bardem.
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy's. I've seen
because
the
he's
clips. He looks
just
so
insane.
cool.
That's it. He's a serial killer and he does it just because.
I saw something explain like the whole
That's
thing about
pretty
how he's, like,
base.
he doesn't.
And he's so good at it too.
The one where he's like saying he doesn't want to kill anyone who doesn't think deserve it, so he does that thing where he like flips a coin to the side.
Oh yeah, dude, it's awesome. He'll just like walk up to someone. He's like, "Hey, heads or tails, call it." And you know, they guess wrong, they get killed, and
Wait,
there's
I'm
no
gonna-
reason for it. He just likes to kill people.
If that's on something I have, I'm watching a movie tonight.
No, honestly, I think it's free on Prime Video. Maybe I'm
Is it
mistaken.
really?
Oh, I have that.
I do as
but,
well. That's why I got
yeah,
excited.
that's the end of my villains. So Andrew, you got anything?
Alright, so what to start with? So first, I'm gonna try and keep this as brief as possible, just because
Brief.
we are running into our time limit soon. For a time limit we set, but regardless. So,
We can always go over. It's nothing.
all right.
crazy.
Then, in that case, I want to prep this with. So when I first came up with this idea, we've been talking about doing this podcast for a while, and what really sparked my interest in this topic specifically was the show Assassination Classroom, and the villain Akira Tatioka. He's what? Yeah, what? Whatever. But I butchered the pronunciation. Apologies. Anyways, he's this guy who's presented as a good guy in the episode you meet him, and it like, oh, look, actually not a good guy, and it's just such a bland turn of events that then at the end of that episode he gets like taken away in a straitjacket or some shit, and you're like, whatever, that was weird. And then he comes back in season 2, and everything he's saying is just like, you should have respected me as your father. Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
No.
Like, no one should enjoy him being on screen. He wasn't interesting. He didn't have depth. He was just,
I love the show and I didn't.
yeah, he was just the lamest villain I've ever seen in a show. And I ended up not liking that show. I had really high expectations. Didn't care for it in the end. Unfortunate. Whatever. He was so bad to witness. And like, so when I was thinking what makes a good villain, around right before we watched Assassination Classroom, I watched the show Vinland Saga, which I talked about briefly before. And the antagonist in that show, or as Nick said, was that while we were recording or right before? Might have been right before. The protagonist of the show is Ashkelon, also known as Lucius Artorius Castus. He's the hero of his own story, kind of like what we mentioned with Funny Valentine for JoJo's. He's a half Welsh, half Danish uh, descendant of King Arthur, or the person he was based on in legend, Artorius. And he's just. It's like he's playing with the Death Note in a world without L. He's light if he was never opposed. Everything he thinks of goes pretty much according to plan because no one can like stand up to his insane planning skills. And like he spoilers for Vinland Saga episode 5 or 6 or whatever, he orchestrates the death of Thorfinn's father, and as a result
I feel like you spoiled it like way
more,
further than
yeah.
episode 5.
I'll put a I'll put a
episode
disclaimer up. Regardless, so then as a result of Thorfinn's father Thor's dying in front of him by Ashkelon's hand, Thorfinn decides he's going to devote the rest of his life to killing Ashkelon, but doing it righteously, because at first he contemplates murdering him in his sleep, and then he thinks to himself, no, this isn't what my father would want. I should do this, like, in a duel. So then he spends the next 11 years of his life running errands for Ashkelon in his band of thieves and pirates. I mean, that's basically just what Vikings were. I wish they were something more noble, but it is what it is. They're pieces of shit, and the show is not afraid to show you that. And he just keeps challenging Ashkelon, and Ashkelon tells him to his face, I am using you. You are not important to me. And Thorfinn says, no, I'm gonna fight you and avenge my father. Like it's just so entertaining. Like
Really one of those yeah sure characters.
yeah, like I mean, we all watched Vinland Saga recently. Anything you guys want to add to that? Very brief.
I don't think there's anything that you really can say about Ashkelon that better than just he is an amazing villain. When I think of good villains, he's the first one I think of.
I think
Pretty much it.
I think
say
he.
this.
As soon as we finished watching the show, I think he went on all of our favorite characters list.
He definitely went on mine.
He went on mine. Like, actually, immediately.
Is he on yours, Dylan?
He went on mine mainly for the fact that he's Welsh.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I've been trying to think of like, you guys love him, and I like him as a villain. I've tried to think about like why I don't vibe with him. as much as like you guys
He's a very
do.
nefarious person.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I don't know because I think he does fit all the criteria of like a good villain. What I like about him is that he really does. He really does hate Thorfinn because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Well,
what he's annoyed
hmm.
by is Thorfinn like Thorfinn does not have to be a fighter. He could have lived in back in Iceland, away from all the fighting, away from all the madness,
I think
and
that
didn't have
Magnus
to
gas.
become like a hateful, shell of a human. Ocelot had to do all that. He didn't have a choice. He was raised a slave. And I think he really hates Thorfinn for like choosing this life of murder
I think
and
he
noblessness.
I think he pities Thorfinn. He just like if you've watched the show, we've already spoiled quite a bit about it. But if you watch the show, you know he actually hates all Danish people,
Yeah.
the Vikings. But it feels like
And all warriors.
yeah, it feels like he pities Thorfinn more than hates him though. He's kind of like you're a fucking idiot. You don't have to do this, but like it sucks. Like you shouldn't be doing this. But I never got the vibe that he hated Thorfinn. He was kind of
I
like
think
raising him in
Griffith
his
looks
own
down.
weird way.
I kind of
Well,
took it
yeah,
as like a disappointed father type of
I
yeah,
thing.
think
Like you watch
I
this
feel
kid
it
that you
more of as
pretty
like
much raised.
because
yeah,
he doesn't show any mercy to Thorfinn.
yeah. But I think that's just in his
I mean, he
character.
never killed him, even though he'd been given many chances. And yeah, honestly, I think he felt bad for him eventually. He's like, this kid is just such a fucking loser. He's tried so hard to beat me, and I know he'll never be able to. So I'll just keep pretending he can.
But then there's also that methodical mind of his thinking. I can also just use this kid. Like he like Thorfinn. Uh, what happened in like episode 21, I think. Is Ashkelon tells Thorfinn, "You're like a great fighter. You took down Thorkel in a really good fight, although that was plot and Ashkelon helped him." But beside the point, I'm defending my favorite character for Thorkel. But he's like, Thorfinn, you're an excellent fighter. You're great at like being an assassin. Basically, is what he did for 11 years. But every time you fight me, you get so mad and so full of anger that like you just completely lose sight of everything that you could be doing. And I mean, he was trying to instruct him to the end of Ashkelon's life. Like I don't know. I think I also when we were group watching this, Drew and I had both watched it prior, and I ended up DMing Drew while we were watching because I was just in disbelief at how like early they were foreshadowing his hate for the uh, Danish people because like in episode like 5 or 6 or something or no when he killed Thor's when Bjorn took Thorfinn hostage, that's how they actually got Thor's. You could see Ashkelad's face change and like contort, like I hate what he just did, and then he like smiles and puts on an act, and you can just tell that the entire show, all these interactions you think are just genuine shit, he's just acting the whole time. He's using everyone around him. He's just such a intelligent character. I love the way he's written.
No, yeah, actually, I'll tell you what. I noticed something there, and like, of course, without the context of he hates Danish people, I didn't really get it. But it's like, huh, he seems like a respectable dude. That he thought it was a little fucked up for his boy to go grab that kid like that.
But then what did you
No,
think
it's a lot deeper than
one
that.
second later when he started grinning and it was like, "Oh, I got you now. You fell into my trap."
I was like, oh, all right, so he's just an asshole then.
And that I
It,
mean,
it,
I
I
think that's
thought
the
it was
beauty
just
of the
like he had a
character.
shred of like, that's fucked up. But you know,
Yeah.
it helps me out, so
Well, he does
whatever.
have more than a shred of humanity, definitely. I mean, he does all this fighting because it seems like he really just doesn't have a choice. You know, as I said before, it's just what he had to do to sort of
Yeah.
make any sort of living as not even sort of living to live a life not as a slave. He's just a guy who was dealt an unfortunate hand, and this is the life that God bestowed upon him, or whatever you want to believe like that. He really couldn't do anything else. So all I wanted to do is just protect his protect his mother, protect his people, and take revenge. and attack anybody trying to get in the way of that. And I think that's so simple. I mean, he's a very complex character, of course, but I
Yeah,
think
I mean, yeah, if
his
you
like
boil
actual
down
main
his
goal
his
is so
goals and
simple,
his
and I love it.
motivations, it's very simple, and then it's like contorted around this complex design.
Yeah.
It
Also,
just makes
bonus
him so
points
fun.
for the show for when they introduce whales, saying like, yeah, the land is in the land in the country is very poor, but the people are very passionate. Because that's completely accurate, even till now, even to now. So, props to the show for getting that right.
You know,
If
actually,
if you
on
couldn't
point.
tell, Dylan is Welsh.
Yeah.
Yes, my father hails from Cardiff, the
Else,
capital.
bro.
I did think that was interesting when they introduced Wales. It was like that I thought was actually Ashkelon acting when he was talking about like, actually I'm Welsh. I'm totally on your side, bro. So just let me know. I thought
That's
that
funny
was
as
the
fuck.
cap, but no, everything but that was the cap, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
And then it's also really interesting to see because like Bjorn, he's stuck with Ashkelon this whole time, and it's kind of revealed at the end that like Bjorn, I still don't really know if Ashkelon was saying it to make him feel better, showing that he has humanity, or if he genuinely felt this way. But Bjorn is like the one guy that Ashkelon respected, the one
I think he was telling the truth there. It seemed pretty darn genuine.
yeah. And I mean that's just a really good character bond too between
Do you
Bjorn
think
and
it
Ashkelon.
do you think it also might be pity towards Bjorn that like he's been lying to Bjorn this entire
Oh
time?
yeah, definitely could be
Yeah.
that.
I think he felt bad because obviously the two of them have the
Although,
most trusting relationship.
you know what's crazy though? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think. Oh no, wait, never mind. Yeah, Bjorn definitely did hear it out of Ashkelad's mouth. I was gonna say it would have
Wasn't
been even
only
more interesting if, like Bjorn figured it out for himself. But no, it was just Ashkelad saying. But yeah.
It wasn't only Bjorn that Ashkelon showed like humility to. Remember
The other guy,
I think his name was
Atlas.
Atlas.
Oh
Like
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And he gave him like the thing. Oh, I forget what it was.
he
Gold.
said he gave him a necklace that was like worth a lot of money. I think.
Yeah,
He
Yeah.
gave him gold
and
for
told him like
you shouldn't be
don't fight
awarded.
anymore. I
Yeah.
shouldn't fight
What's
anymore.
crazy is so again, we mentioned spoilers. Ashkelad dies, but later in the manga, Otley actually shows up. Uh he just got reintroduced in the last book that's out in English as of right now, so don't know where it goes from there, but it's really, really
Remember what he was
interesting
doing.
what they're gonna do
Remember
with
his
him.
voice back. Remember what he was doing in the book.
He was a slave to Floki's
Oh no!
army
What?
or something, or he got like
Oh
captured
no!
by Floki or Halfdan or something, and yeah. So he's not
That's
doing the
so
best,
sad.
but
That's so sad.
yeah.
That is brutal. Oh my god.
But yeah, I think it's really cool how they're gonna follow up on his character. But yeah, so I think we talked quite a bit about Ashkelad. I'll get on to some other characters. So Ashkelad's an example of a character of I think he's not only fun to watch, but also just really interesting to delve into his character for. But another character type that I want to break down is just the ones who you're happy when they're on screen. You're even rooting for them, however fucked up their methods are. And that is like Dio Brando from JoJo's. He's so entertaining. And if you don't like him, there's something wrong with you. Like I don't
I
know
thought
what
you were
to
gonna
say.
say the other character from Vinland Saga.
Oh, Thorkel?
Yeah,
You could say him,
I
although
thought you were gonna say him, but yeah, he fits the
he
same
definitely
mold.
is a bad guy, like a bad person, but he's not a villain, I don't think.
He's an antagonist of the series, I would
Yeah,
say.
that's true. That's fair.
Like he fits the same mold
Thorkel,
as Dio.
he's just this like 7'6" uh, Chad who just loves fighting, and he literally switches sides like 3 times in the series just to keep fighting because he enjoys it that much. And I love characters like that. He's just really fun to watch. So yeah, but then Dio, he's the antagonist in parts 1 and 3 for JoJo's. Uh, a mortal vampire who uh, he murders people all the time, but he's just partially propelled by the meme culture built around it that we mentioned in the last episode of, the oh, you're approaching me and it was me, Dio, about kissing Erina in part 1. Like there's just this sort of aura that whenever he's on screen, I'm happy about it. It's like, yeah, he might commit war crimes, but I'm going to still be
He was
entertained by
also
it.
really, really well, like not just funnily, but really, really well written in part 1. Part 3,
Oh,
he
that's
became
true.
kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Fun. But part 1, he was just
Yeah, part
really
1, again, it's such a shame that like the middle 3 episodes were so bland because the first 3 and the last 3 were so good, and I think that like if it was just those with maybe one episode in between that transitioned really well, it wouldn't have ruined that character development as much for me because when I think back on it, I think like, oh yeah, he was a good character, but it was like kind of rushed through a bit maybe. I don't know.
If Tarkus never existed, I would actually really like part 1. I would say part 1 would be up there in my favorite parts if Tarkus wasn't there, because Tarkus created so much extra time that I didn't care.
He's the one who killed Zeppeli, or is he the other one?
He was the big guy. I like
Okay, yeah.
Luther,
Yeah.
the left hair. I actually thought he was cool. He was actually a pretty good villain. He was simple and he was just cool, fun to have around, cool motivations, got a nice arc, got redeemed. That was it. But then Tarkus is just an asshole. He was an asshole that wasted time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's much more to say about Dio. If Nick or Dylan, you want to speak to it at
Nah.
all?
I have
What
absolutely
Cody said
nothing
is
to
pretty
say
much
about
said.
Dio except he's just a goofball.
Yeah.
He is.
He's
He's
such
so
a,
very
a
likable,
funny
that's pretty much
guy.
it.
He's such a little rascal, that guy. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right, so on to the next one. I have Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. And truth
Oh.
be told, I can't speak too much on this. This is more of just what's been animated so far, and just he's a
Oh.
really fun one to have around. Like,
Nah, he don't show up yet.
oh, he's not in the manga at all.
Nah.
Okay. Well,
At least in the next 4 volumes after the show.
oh damn. Well, he's the demon inside of Itadori. He's this ultra powerful being who's been reduced to like Itadori's subconscious thoughts. And it's just really funny because when he does get control of the body, he just showcases how much of a badass he can be. And it's always really fun to see that, obviously. Love good powers and shit. Um, but then also, just some of the quips he drops and shit. You can tell he's trying his best to be like this plotting mastermind. Like, maybe he is, but so far we haven't seen any of the payoff work out his way. So it's just really entertaining to see all that go down. The next one, I'll talk about another villain that didn't like in Erina's dad from Food Wars. Um, he's just like, imagine if the kid who listened to My Chemical Romance all the time
Oh.
um, had a kid somehow and then also gave up on their kid because they were better than them and then was stuck
There's a lot
around
to unpack
anyways. Like, it's just such a. I fucking hated him. He sucked to have on screen. The character depth he had, like, was shit.
Non-existent.
Yeah, well, like, they tried to give him something, and that was a mistake. He shouldn't have been given anything.
His entry in the show is when I thought this is a good show with some serious flaws and some things that were added to the show that I think shouldn't have been, but I still think it's a good show with some bad parts. The part where I was like, no, this show sucks. This show sucks ass. It's fun. It was still a fun watch a bit after it got introduced.
He brought it down so much.
Was terrible.
He.
I hate that last season.
Oh yeah, and then also something like
Oh my
redemptions can be done well. Don't get me wrong. I like a good redemption. Some of the best characters are redemptions, like Speedwagon from JoJo's. But holy shit, his redemption did not feel good at all. It was like he's the main antagonist for seasons 2 and 3, I believe. And what does he do after that? Why, of course, he comes back at the end of season 5 and he wants to be a good father now.
The
No.
bad guy from season 5 was even worse.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that was just the show should have ended at season
No, we
4,
can pretend season
and then
5 isn't real.
the writer did a line of coke to figure out what to do for season 5, or where it is in the manga. But beside the point. So yeah, that's my bit about Eren as dad. Another villain I really did not like. Um, onto one I did like. We'll go back and forth. Actually, because I won't talk about this character too much, I'll just mention this before my last villain that I have here. From Chainsaw Man, the main antagonist. I'm not going to say who it is because even saying it is a spoiler. Um, for like 90% of the series. Yeah, if you've read this series, if you've read up to like volume 9 or 10 of the series, you know who I'm talking about. It's just I don't, it's at this point it's been a while since I've even read that shit. Probably should reread it because I don't even remember all the details. I just remember thinking the villain was pretty entertaining to have around, but beyond that, I can't really put any more insight. But it is a villain that sticks out, which is why I'm bringing it up here. Um, and then my last villain is Itachi Uchiha from Naruto.
Oh,
And
good
unfortunately, half the members here have not gotten to episode 138 in Naruto Shippuden,
Big
which
number.
is
my god, what a fucking bombshell that episode was.
that episode was. I love the pain arc. I know
Life
it's your
changing.
favorite, I believe, Nick, but
Yeah.
I have to say, episode
call it the
138
best, too.
might be my favorite
But
set of
honestly,
anime episodes out of maybe
it's
any
around the
shonen
same
show.
vein. Doesn't the pain arc happen like right after or during?
So episode 138 is the Itachi reveal, I believe, and then there's like 30 episodes, not of filler, but of like build up with a major character death, and then the pain arc is like 170.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. Pain arc is that late? I didn't
Yeah.
even know that shit.
But yeah, so if you've watched Naruto
Okay.
up until that point,
Second best. I'd say.
you know what we're talking about with Itachi, but if you haven't, something I can say is even for part 1 Naruto, he's portrayed as this like major antagonist, not to Naruto, who obviously, he's the main character. The show's named after him. But Sasuke, the secondary main character, it's everything Sasuke is working towards, fighting his brother. Kind of like what we talked about with Ashkelon and Thorfinn, where it's all Thorfinn's been working towards is this one goal to fight and kill this person who Itachi massacred the Uchiha clan, which figure out by like episode 5, so whatever.
Even if you haven't watched Naruto, I feel like you know
Yeah,
that.
probably. But it's just, and then you get a lot of character development and stuff from Sasuke. Not really so much from Itachi, more just informational things. But he's just easily one of my favorite villains. So yeah, those are the villains I wanted to talk about. Anything else come into anyone's mind as we were talking?
I like Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Uh,
I don't think he's
you know what? Yeah.
yeah. I was looking at the Javier Bardem's IMDb page and saw he was in a Pirates of the Caribbean movie and remembered when they
Yeah.
released.
Oh, that movie sucked though. So
That movie was cool because Javier Bardem was cool, but the movie
yeah, the movie was pretty trash, but not. Dude, the best part at the end of that movie, they like hinted that Davy Jones might be coming back, even though he died in the third movie.
and
Oh,
he's not.
sorry, spoiler.
That third movie was so bad. That was even worse than the new one. Newer.
No, I wouldn't say so.
It
The
made
third,
no
the
sense.
third movie was cool because there was like the ships and they were battling in the fucking whirlpool and Davy Jones, bro.
And one random one-off character from the first movie was secretly God. Yeah.
What?
No,
And there was random pirate
from the second movie, it
Why
doesn't
did they
matter.
Why did they make pirates have politics? It was weird.
Yeah,
The pirate
it doesn't
council was
matter. The action at the end of the movie
French
made up for it. I don't care.
It was, I mean, it still was fun, but it was so weird. It made no sense.
They're not really. After the first movie, they're not good.
No, they were just
But they're very fun, at least. At least 2 and 3 are. 4 was weird, 5 was bad.
5.
Yeah, there's 5 of them.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I got nothing to add there.
All right.
Davy Jones is lit.
Is that all then for everyone? That's all,
I think so.
folks. All right, I'll take it home. This has been Hill Boy Syndicate of Gay Sex or whatever. I don't fucking know.
No, I
Thank
think
you
you
for
were right.
watching. Oh yeah, I was. Word.
I
Thanks.
think so.
All right. Yeah. See
Straight
you guys
sex,
next
please.
time with straight sex from us. All right. Peace.